Hey, it's card number 135 from that Bowman Color set. It's Bobby Morgan of the Brooklyn Dodgers getting ready to make a play. It almost looks like he's ready for a throw from the catcher or from somebody else. He looks like he's getting ready to tag somebody. It's also definitely a spring training photograph, which are always fun because they stand out in this set, and it's part of the fun of learning about this set and where the photographs were taken, mostly in New York, but there's a handful of fun spring training shots that are peppered throughout. Let's take a look at the back. Bobby may be an important cog in the Dodger infield in 1953. Well, that's being optimistic. He was with the team as they won the National League Championship in 1952, but he only appeared in 67 games. He still may have had an impact. Anyway, born in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma in 1926, there's Bobby again. If it's card number 135, it must be session number 135 of the Not a Show live stream that you all know called Card Room Live. This is the fellow vintage collector hangout. Every now and again, we have guests. We've been having lots of guests recently, and that is no exception today. But whether we have guests or not, we are always finding ways to waste time talking about old cardboard. And through it all, we try to make it time well wasted. If you're here with us live, welcome to you. I see a bunch of people in the chat. Welcome to the folks at the bar. Welcome to my fellow YouTubers, to the commenters, to the folks from social media land. If you're new, don't be afraid to say hello. You're among cardboard friends. This is the live stream where everybody knows your name. And if we don't, we soon will learn it. If you're listening to this later, you might be going to or coming home from your place of employment. Maybe you are sorting cards, looking at eBay, getting ready for the National, getting ready for Hobby Palooza, rolling out meatballs, walking the dog, sitting on the john, putting the kids to bed. Maybe you're wondering if a certain somebody will come up in conversation. Maybe you're wondering if there's going to be any Mike foolery tonight. Whatever you might be doing or thinking or wondering, I hope you get something out of this hour of Mike foolery. If you want to get in touch or have ideas for future sessions, or if you want to nominate a collector that you know for a future session, you can email me at bowman53channel@gmail.com. You can also find me on Instagram, bowman53_Alex, on X 1953 Bowman Color, on Blue Sky Bowman 53. And of course, all that information can be found in the description below. This session of Card Room Live is brought to you by Topps 1-cent baseball stand-ups. That's right. Topps baseball stand-up bubblegum picture cards that feature full color stand-up pictures. Just think of it, guys. Real life action poses along with an exciting card game. It features all top major league stars. Wow. Baseball cards that stand up and have Don Field of Dreams cards seal of approval. Who could imagine that? Topps 1-cent baseball card stand-ups. So, having gone through all of that, let's see who's at the bar. Peter is here first tonight. Jacob is here. Good evening to Mike. Good, if you can stop watching the MLB draft. Mike Polina is here. 3D80s Kid is here. Killaboo 3 Kurt is here. A tradition unlike any other. If you say so. Reese Endy Card Ranger is here. Time for some cardboard talk, some crusty old cardboard talk. Phil Negro fan is here. Rob, the baseball time traveler, is here. And absolutely, we're already wasting time, aren't we, John? Mike Polina is here, a guest from a few sessions back. Even my wife says, okay, I'll see you in a few hours, right? It's Sunday night. That's what happens. Jay Hawker is here. Kurt in Brooklyn is here. I'm glad you're here, Kurt, because I've got a brief announcement to make that involves you. Drew the Clean Cheap Shots is here. David Bustle is here. Stephen with a PH. Orlando. Jason, the Everyday Card Collector. Lou Rock, who was on our session last Sunday, is here. Dre is here. Ross Loves Cards. Larry, Ruben, Mr. Brian Roth is here. And I think I might have gotten. Oh no, Melissa's here. I'm sure there's going to be more people popping in. Peeps is here. Mr. Maxa Jackson is here. Hugo Signs of the Pastime is here, and the list goes on. Cardboard Coach Neil is here. The Boston Kid, Texas Rangers PC, A's Fan Jim. Look at all these new folks popping in here at the last minute. Mr. Wrenchholder, Stukes Baseball Cards and Curiosities is here. What's up, Scott? And that guy's here. So a couple of things I want to run through real quick. First off is this brief thing that I wanted to share about a contest that some of you guys may recall from a couple sessions back. We had a crummy hat contest that went on for quite a while. And a couple of sessions ago, we finally did the drawing and we had a winner. And the winner was Kurt from Brooklyn, a great collector, not a YouTuber, but hey, there are collectors all over the place. Some of us have social media, some of us don't. And Kurt was the winner of the Crummy Hat contest, and I sent Kurt his winnings, and I'll share the photographs that Kurt sent back to me. I didn't ask Kurt if it was okay to do this, so Kurt, I don't really care if you have a problem with it. I don't see why you would. On the left, you see Kurt's crummy hat, the hat that won the drawing. Not necessarily the crummiest hat in the bunch. In fact, I think there were definitely hats that were way crummier than Kurt's. But Kurt's hat won the drawing. On the right, you can see one of the winnings that Kurt got. I sent Kurt a brand new Detroit Tigers 47 brand cap. And I was careful to say to Kurt that I was not trying to suggest that he should get rid of the crummy hat. You should never get rid of a crummy hat. You should keep your crummy hat for all time. But I thought it would be nice if he had a new Detroit Tigers cap as well. And then he also sent me this photograph, one, to show him wearing the new hat, and two, I think he wanted to prove that he actually does live in Brooklyn. So here's the photographic evidence of Kurt from Brooklyn actually being in Brooklyn. So Kurt, once again, congratulations for your win. Yeah, right. Totally. The other thing I really wanted to say real quick is, and I'll mention this again at the end, Hobby Palooza. Everybody, I'm sure at this point, has heard about Hobby Palooza. That starts next weekend. I'm very fortunate to be a part of that again this year. And the slot that I will have will be at 8 p.m. on Sunday night. And Maxa Jackson, who I believe is in the chat as well, Max and I will be chatting about early baseball cards, super early baseball cards, not necessarily related to a player or a team, but just related to the sport of baseball in general. And we're kind of scouring the archives, looking for photographs. Some of the cards we may have, but a lot of them we won't, and we're just going to be talking about them. I'm also going to be talking about like super early images of baseball in general, like especially from the Elysian Fields, which I'm really kind of interested in and have been researching a lot lately. So I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to all of Hobby Palooza. And if you are curious about that or want to get a hold of the schedule, you can harass John 3D80s Kid in the comments. I'm sure he won't mind, but also a better place to go probably is to the For Collectors channel to get all the information about the schedule for Hobby Palooza. Okay, so we're 10 minutes in and I want to get our guests in here. We've got two gentlemen waiting in the wings. I had an idea quite a while ago to invite some collectors onto the channel to talk about displays. Last weekend, we were fortunate to have Dylan from Double B Vintage Cards and Lou Rock on to talk about their displays. We have got two more collectors tonight. We'll bring these guys in. We've got Aaron from Value Vintage Cards. Aaron, how are you?
Doing awesome, sir. How are you tonight?
I'm doing good. Or can I call you Aaron? Because I saw that in your email. I was like, that's brilliant.
Yeah. I get so many Darrens and Erics and different things. So I'm like, it's Aaron, and everyone's like, okay, got it. And no one ever repeats my name. So even if I walk into the bank, they're like, Aaron. I'm like, all right, guys, what's going on?
Nice.
So yeah, it works.
Okay, great. Well, I'm glad you're here. And we also have Mitchell from the White Sox Fan Card Collector.
What's going
Mitchell, how
on,
are you?
gentlemen? How are you?
Doing good, doing good. In the brand spanking new card room, right?
Yeah, new as of yesterday. It was the last day I put the last things up. So
Fantastic. All right. You done messed up, Aaron. Exactly. All right. So guys, we're going to talk about card rooms, which is like why we should be talking about card rooms far more often than we do on Card Room Live. So here we are. We're going to talk about card rooms. I've got a question to kind of get us started. Both these gentlemen have sent me lots of photographs. We're going to take a look at some of these photographs. If you guys have, first of all, if you don't follow these guys' channels, I'm sure most of the people in here do, but if you don't, one of our trusty wrench holders will put this in the chat, and you should follow these guys' channels. But if you're familiar with Aaron and Mitchell's channels, you're probably familiar with their collections and maybe even their displays. Although you might not be familiar with Mitchell's because it's brand new. But we're going to talk about like the thought process behind what you guys do, how you guys approach displaying stuff versus storing stuff, how it affects your collecting, all that kind of stuff. I've got kind of an entry level question for you guys. It's the same question I started with Lou and Dylan last weekend, which is, can you guys think back to like early days, childhood days, and like what were your rooms like? Were you like displaying stuff in your rooms even as kids? And if so, like how were you doing it? And did baseball card or collecting, did any of that kind of factor into the way you did stuff? Aaron, we'll start with you.
So to sound insane, I grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment. My mom eventually moved into, we had like this large like front room that she put like, some beads up and kind of made a door out of it, because I had to have a baseball card room. That's my mom was so supportive of my hobby. I don't think I ever even shared that, which sounds insane for like a broke kid that rented an apartment. But yeah, I mean, I had a huge like custom table and sets and sets and sets. And, I've always been big on displaying and enjoying and rifling through the cards as often as I can.
Nice. So this has kind of been with you for a while then.
Yeah, that was like 1988 to give perspective. Yeah.
Cool. Mitchell, how about you?
When I think back to the room where it probably did the most is when we moved into our house in like 87. I was like all of 10 years old at that point. And I had a room all to myself at that point, and it wasn't always guaranteed prior to that.
Right.
Sometimes I had to move into a room with my older sister, and my younger sister was born. So it was just kind of a mess. And there wasn't a lot of room to do much of anything. So I'd started collecting cards just 2 years prior to that. So I didn't really have a lot to do anything before then anyway. So I finally had my own room. And I would say that I haven't really displayed cards until really just now, which is kind of sounds strange, but they always kind of stayed stored safely away, organized into binders and boxes and things like that. And I kind of just wanted to kind of keep them out of the way in some ways so people wouldn't disturb them and things like that. The pets wouldn't get involved with them. But obviously I've done a 180 on that approach for sure when you're kind of looking at the room now. But I did have a lot of stuff put on my doors. I would just put like tape on the back of like newspaper articles or something, pictures in the newspapers, magazine pictures, sometimes some autographs too. Some autographs. I remember getting distinctly some autographs from, I think I was walking into, I think it was a Venture store, and they had them here. And there was autograph signings by 2 Chicago Bears. I think I got Dan Hampton, Matt Suey, and Kevin Butler on photos. And I had them stuck up on the doors there, along with some other things. And some of them were baseball related. But this was probably like the first real push in that direction. And it really took a lot of, obviously, kind of encouragement and support by my wife, actually, to kind of just go through with this. Because I was always worried about the cost and also it like taking up space and everything. But yeah, she really was the one pushing this. So.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely return to that for sure, because that's, I'm sure, probably encouraging for some people to hear that's possible. And
I don't think it was always that case, but
sure. And it's funny, because I'm thinking about it too. When I was a kid, I was an 80s kid as well. We're all probably around the same range, I guess. And I definitely had a shelf in my room with all of my starting lineups, and they had to be arranged in a certain way. And I had, a facsimile Phillies autographed baseball and my little league trophies, and everything had to be a certain way. When I think back, I was like, okay, that's where it started. Like I was doing that as a kid. So it's not surprising that we're still doing it here, all these years later. Let's actually get into the rooms themselves, Aaron, and we can kind of bounce back and forth between both your guys' rooms. And if there's anything that comes up, or if there's any like specific pictures that you guys want to highlight, just let me know. But Aaron, let's start with you. So can you talk a little bit about, and I'll put this up on the screen so we can be looking at it, but can you talk a little bit about how this started for you in this particular setup? Like at what point did you decide that you were going to focus on displaying your stuff? Did it happen sort of over time, or did you just say like, I'm going full on in my memorabilia displaying?
Yeah, my wife has always been supportive. I mean, I've always had at least some section of rooms, whether it be, a bedroom as we've moved around over the years. Sometimes we had smaller places, so it was, maybe a wall was mine or something. But moving in here, and even really the house we had 15 years ago, we finished the basement. She said, as long as you do it classy. I'm thinking like upscale sports bar, not like 10-year-old kid's bedroom. I'm like, okay, let's do that. So it's kind of like with permission, I'm able to do. And we moved into this house, 5 years ago, I guess now. And I mean, literally everything behind me was built like this. It's an office.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's got separate doors. If I showed you the entire room, you'd see like my daughter's like arts and crafts bin. So it's a little bit of a multi-use room, but I'm 94% of it, and my daughter's stuff is on its way out. So
okay,
yeah, more or less it's mine. So I've always been wanting to display. I like the clutter look a little bit, where you just have a lot of stuff going on. For me, I like to go to someone's room and see the complexity and get to kind of look at things and pick out and say like, what's that? Why is that there?
Mm-hmm.
So that's always been interesting to me. So
right.
I've adapted that.
I didn't plan it, but like, hey, some starting lineups that we're just literally just talking about. But what I like about this is, you've got a lot of different stuff going on. You've got some photographs, and they're all like, if you stop and look at it, these are all notable players. But it's also kind of cool because not only are they like from like a wide range of time periods, but also like to me, when I think, starting lineups, that's like an 80s kid thing.
Yeah.
But you've got other stuff going on here, which is like before any of us were even born, right? And so that's kind of cool because it's like a quick little insight into how you see baseball, maybe, or just how you collect.
Yeah, very, very, very much so. I'm being a player collector, and I still get a little bit of harassment for that, because when I say a player collector, it's like 40 or 50 players, not 1 or 3 or something like that.
Right.
So it's a little more expansive than the average player collector, but I've always been fascinated more with the individual, their story. So, I mean, I'd go to a Reds game in the 80s. It's because I want to see Barry Larkin, not because I was a Reds fan.
Right.
And, they'd play the Pirates, and I'm like, I like Andy Van Slyke and Barry Bonds before his head got bigger. And I wanted to see those players and follow their careers, because I thought they were interesting as individuals. So that's how it's displayed. I mean, that shelf you're looking at right now has Dan Musial, Ted Williams, and Joe DiMaggio on it, and I thought that's kind of the perfect trifecta of outfielders for that era.
Right.
So yeah, I tried to come up a little bit themes. My buddy Joe, he said, with the way I collect, he's like, you have to think of yourself more like a curator. So you don't put it on the shelf and leave it there. You have to make it new every 6 weeks. So I really put some focus into rotation and moving things around.
That's cool. So are you I'll show another one here. So you've got some Yogi stuff here and some catcher stuff. Are are you rotating stuff out, like stuff that maybe hasn't been shown in a while, or are you sort of saying, you know what, like I'm not really fond of that, I want to replace it with something else?
It really is. It's rotating, and I will say one of the biggest things that's fun of the YouTube experience is getting to go on, a show like today or on another one this week. You pick a topic, you gotta start pulling things. It just gets you going through the piles and the stacks, and most of those. That one's very specific. That Bear and Bill Dickey stuff, but
Right.
some of the displays are way more dimensional. That one I've actually switched out. Sometimes it's Hank Aaron, sometimes it's just Brave, sometimes it's different themes. So I kind of just rotate them around. It's definitely not wanting to replace. It's just freshens it up, makes it interesting.
Sure. You have a heckler in here that I'm sure you're very familiar with. This guy. Do you want to talk a little bit about? Because I know you've talked about this at length, but maybe not on Card Room Live. Do you want to talk about your interest in photography and just oversized items?
Yeah, that heckler, he's very harassing. I don't know. It's a way to block people on YouTube out of this
Jason's
work.
rough. Yeah.
You can put it
Yeah.
down if you need to.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking into actions I can take at this point. No, oversized to me is awesome. I always say it's old eyes, it's easier on the eyes, but I find
Very true.
it's a better value. It's less collected, and I'm fortunate to have this setup where I can actually display it and appreciate it. It's not getting packed away in a box. It's
Right.
it's still out, and I grabbed several things actually from there. I counted. I think I have, not that we have to show any of it, but it's. I mean,
Sure.
I think I have 33 pictures, and it's from the stack with the Jimmy Fox there on the left. That's all ungraded, mostly 8x10 ish sized images, and the stack is still enormous. I probably have close to 100 pictures there, so I can rotate them through for the next 8 years on a regular basis and not get bored. So it's kind of fun.
Right.
So then I'll pull in things like I did there. I'll pull in like a statue and put it next to Jimmy Fox, or I have a little pin there to complement the image issued by the same shoe company. So I just try and mix it up and keep it fun. It gives me 20 minutes of mixing things up and just seeing something I haven't seen in 6 months.
Yeah, and I like that it's so efficient. Like they're all there, right? So if you want to switch it out, you can just kind of shuffle through them, and whichever one you want is at the end of the stack. And there you go. That's great.
Yeah, quick and easy. Doesn't take long at all.
Here's a question from Floating Heads. Are these mostly vintage prints, or are there any team photo packs?
At this point, it's yes. How's that for a terrible answer? So yeah, I actually, when I was pulling things, I mean, it's everything. I mean, I've got my little tiny picture. Those are 49 all-star photo packs. I mean, there's Post.
Oh yeah, those are so great.
That's fun. And that one's actually, that's my K-Line's autograph, so that's kind of extra fun. Gil Hodges as a catcher. It's a lot of these kind of things with the sporting news display.
Sure.
I just landed this one. I pulled this down because I knew Mitchell would like this one.
Sweet.
Oh,
I do.
wow.
But
What are they?
super cool.
Are they like radios that they're carrying?
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
so great.
Compliments of Grove Furniture, authorized Philco dealer. I know at first I thought it was like lunch pails. I thought they were like, working man baseball team or something. But
Yeah.
yeah, I looked at it like, yeah, it's radios. So Larry Doby and Minnie Minoso, you can't get better than that. So I love
Yeah.
that.
That's awesome. Very cool. Okay, well, Aaron, we'll come back to yours as well. I want to get Mitchell in here and ask him some stuff too. And obviously, Aaron, if you have any questions, but also in the chat, if you guys have any questions for Aaron or Mitchell, please feel free to drop them in there, and I'll try to keep an eye on it. Multitasking is tough when you're doing a live stream, but maybe I can
Appreciate you doing it.
Yeah, I'm trying. So Mitchell, this is kind of interesting because this is kind of an exclusive in the sense that you literally just finished your room, and I know like maybe like an hour ago you posted like your card room is like video is ready to go, ready to be watched. Can you take us through? I'll put this up on the screen, and you can certainly direct me to whichever images you want to look at. But can you give us a sense of like when did this? Because obviously you've had this room, you know your channel has been in this room, but you made a choice at some point to say like, okay, I want to upgrade it, I want to like renovate it. When did that start for you?
It was in November, actually. My wife kind of talked to me that afternoon, sometime right around Thanksgiving, kind of said like, "Hey, we were talking about home renovation stuff," and she really said like, "Have you really thought about wanting to have a card room?" And like, "Yeah, it would be great to do that." And she's like, "Have you ever thought about using the closet that's in there? And we could like really start cleaning things out and moving things around to be able to make that space available." So this was like just a traditional like closet in our like split level house from like the 60s. So it wasn't really anything different than like, like a bar for hanging clothing and shelving above it. So I just couldn't really envision it. But then she's like, "Well, let's have somebody come in and like look at maybe doing a custom built, and maybe you can kind of see it as I'm kind of envisioning it."
Mhm.
So it was somewhere around that time, maybe a week later, we had somebody come out from California Closets and kind of design the space. And from that point on, it was full steam ahead at that point, not just with this renovation, but a lot of other renovations we had to do within the house. Because naturally, when you start clearing out clutter in one space, it was creating clutter in others. So we ended up doing
Yeah.
all of our closets up here. So there was about a 3 month period where it was really uncomfortable being in our upstairs area, and we didn't want anybody in the house because there was really looked pretty crappy, to be honest. But it's all done. We finished everything that we wanted to try and do, including even hanging a picture up for my wife just earlier today. But it started then. So in November. So then in December, we just really started cleaning things out, getting preparation for it. Did the demolition in there probably about January-ish, kind of painted the space. It was installed in like March. And then naturally, I was starting to look at the other wall spaces in here because I didn't want it like to kind of return to what it looked like.
Mhm.
Like before here, there was like just some old wooden bookcases that we had in here. So I removed those and we actually bought like formal furniture. You can see there, we have like obviously the cabinets below here
Yeah.
with the glass windows. And within it, I was able to measure it out when I was shopping because I wanted to be able to put all my binders away somehow. So these are all my complete sets are actually stored in here, but they weren't deep enough to hold like two sets of binders, if you will. So I was able to use those as additional display places. So I have in the back of it, there's like 3 to 4 binders, depending on if you're on the top or the bottom. And there's like this whole other space that I was able to start displaying cards and bobbleheads and things like that.
Yep.
Here, you can close up of one of them right here.
Yeah.
So I was able to add little puck lights in there too that are
Right.
rechargeable, which are fantastic. And I just started putting little displays together of things I kind of like, cards I have, collectibles I've had, including picture of the San Diego chicken from the Donruss 782 down in the corner there. So I think it's one of the craziest and funniest cards ever made, including my childhood picture right next to it. But every
Yes.
little thing kind of has a story, behind it for me, whether it's something I really like to collect, a player I like to collect. A lot of it's going to be like White Sox stuff, obviously, as you kind of go around the room. So.
Sure. Mookie's got a question, Mitchell, about the lighting. If you can talk a little bit about how you did that.
Yeah, they're rechargeable puck lights. We looked at a couple different options, with the sole exception on the very top of the built-in that I was just describing earlier, where we actually installed an outlet to be able to light the stadiums above it.
Mhm.
Um, Everything else is a puck light. So I was able to get those off of Amazon. I think they were like
Yep.
in packs of 6. So I just bought a bunch of them, and I just routinely keep them charged. They work really well. And I can adjust the lighting in here too to different colors if I wanted. So like I have it on right now. If you kind of see it here, I can knock over my water and turn on a red light if I wanted to do that, green per se. But I usually just keep it white for the most part. So
Right. That's great.
maybe for Christmas we'll do red, white, and green, or red and green.
There you
So.
go. There you go. Or maybe like when your wife is like stopping by the card room, if you're trying to like signal your mood, like you can like change the whole like mood of the room by the color coding?
There's not black, unfortunately.
You just turn all the lights out and you're sitting in there.
You're
Cool.
the
So,
guest. Sorry.
oh, nice.
This is
Yeah.
just
So
like one
you got
little.
these are like close-ups of the actual like custom cabinet, right?
Yeah, yeah. These are actually glass doors that are on here, so I can open them up pretty easily. You can see the puck lights are installed there, and that's where I like kind of spent some time thinking through the displays. What did I want to put out there? I knew I wanted to put my autographed baseballs, and I had very few of those.
Sure.
So obviously they took kind of center stage in there, and I used the 64 Top Giants to go with the mantle and the Aaron ball. Because I took a picture like that back in November for my Instagram channel, and I thought it looked kind of cool.
Hmm.
But everything kind of goes with an item there for the most part, like on the little all-star shelf below the mantle ball there. Those are my tickets from the 2003 All-Star game. And then I pulled out some of the 58 All-Star cards that I have, Willie Mays, and then the ball from the 2003 All-Star game too, that at some point I want to get signed to by Albert Pujols, but maybe not when he's charging $400 for an autograph, but maybe in the future.
Wow.
And above that is like it features the program I was able to pick up at a antique store last May, from the World Series of '59, and then it's the combatants from the '59 World Series up there. You have the Dodgers and the White Sox featured in there.
Right.
Oh, cool.
Just giving everybody a chance to look at this. So here's kind of a question off the cuff. Aaron, you've been doing this now for a while because you've had the setup that you have. For Mitchell, this is like kind of new in a way. Like you've displayed before, but now you've got like more options. Has this changed the way you see your collection in any way, or the way you think of your collection? Just in terms of how the display impacts, your experience with your cards.
Well, for me, I guess we can both jump in because I think we're both kind of at different stages and developments. But for me, very much so. I mean, I think I'm considered, like Jason said, I'm considered like an oversized collector. I'm trying to maximize my enjoyment of everything so I can get those things rotated through. I wish I had some of the really cool lighting features, which I'm going to have to just borrow ideas and maybe make some phone calls and follow up with Mitchell and see how to do this. Looks
Happy to
phenomenal.
help you. Yeah.
Yeah, I will definitely be in touch to elevate my game a little bit for sure. But the space that's really the gift of it. You can collect anything and you can rotate it through, and even the player focus ones like the Yogi Berra one, I can rotate that out in a couple weeks and make that, the Stan Musial cubby. And
Right.
I've got an Evers card on the way that I'll do a Tinker Evers and Chance and probably replace Jody and Musial, and so you can just kind of rotate it through, and it'll totally refresh the whole room and give a different emphasis.
Right. And so I guess I'm asking because for me, because I still have a cabinet that's over here, which you guys can't see, which was the cabinet that I've had for years. And I just kind of crammed everything in there, and I enjoyed seeing everything, but, I don't have that big of a collection to begin with. And I started realizing that I wasn't really fully enjoying it. And then when I went in the direction of the cabinets that I have behind me, what I liked about it, what I'm enjoying about it, is what you guys have been talking about, which is like you can kind of create these little experiences, like this baseball goes with this player or this event, and maybe it's obvious to the person who's looking at the stuff, maybe it's not, but it is to you, right? And it's a way to enjoy the collection, because that's the thing with me. It's like I'm okay with my cards being in a box. It's fine. It has to happen. I can't literally show everything, but I don't want it to stay in a box forever. I got it to enjoy it, and I really like seeing it with the other cards in the collection. And so this gives me a way to sort of make that a part of the process rather than it just staying in a box forever. I can like change it up every few months or whatever it is. And not only does it change up the display, but it also sort of like refreshes my interest in my collection. I don't know if you guys have any more thoughts on just like how the display does that.
For me, obviously, it was first time I did it, but it was pretty exciting to be able to start pulling some of these cards that have just kind of been sitting in my boxes for some time now. I mean, I really enjoyed each and every one of them when I bought them, traded for them, or however I acquired them. Um, but like I had no space to be able to do anything with them other than take a picture, put it on the YouTube channel or IG, and that was just about it.
Right.
But now I can put them all out, and it's just really fun. So I was able to kind of do things I've always kind of wanted to dream of doing if I had the space to do it. Cards by sets, cards by player, cards by era. That's how it's all kind of divided into this space at the moment, and it will be very customizable as I like get additional cards to put out, different players that I want to put out that I don't have anything displayed for at this moment.
Right. So David was asking about this, and I think a lot of people, especially on YouTube, when they think of your channel, Mitchell, they probably first think of Diamond Stars, and so everyone's like, "Where are the Diamond Stars?" So here they are. And so this is kind of fun, right? Because you have a place to sort of localize this and like literally put a frame around what you're building. Yeah. Did you in terms of like getting these kinds of cases, because you've got several on the wall, was it did you have a plan in terms of like how many you wanted, or was it really just about like what wall space you had?
Yes, I know that wasn't a great answer either. I knew the wall space I had available. It was just a matter of which ones I could do that would get like the least amount of contact with any indirect light. And
Sure.
I've put UV film on the window, and we're going to be adding additional drapes on here to make it even darker.
Hmm.
So I'm not too worried about it. And there's obviously there's a UV glass at the moment, but I didn't want anyone to be where the TV was because that directly faces the window. So I
Right.
knew that wall was kind of just for pictures and the television. So it left me really with like two, three, really two walls to kind of play with. And I wanted to kind of fit within the spaces that were available to me in those places. And I knew from the beginning I wanted to do a display to kind of showcase all like the Derek Jeter Topps Gold cards that I've been getting over the years. So that's been one of my projects. He's one of my guys. My Albert Pujols collection, those things kind of put there. So I wanted like a player collection, and then obviously the Diamond Stars were really kind of the big feature that I wanted to put in there. And I knew I needed two 50 card display cases to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And the spaces are intentional. Those are the cards I don't have yet. So it's
Right.
kind of fun. It's kind of a little bit like putting a puzzle together as I acquire new cards. They already have a space. I can already envision where even the cards I bought this weekend, where they're going to go. The Rabbit Mirandaville card that I just picked up goes next to the Al Simmons, all at the top there. It's card number 3 in the set. I already know where it's going to go, and it's a lot of fun kind of putting it together. And I know I need a schoolboy row there, and the second one from the bottom to fill out that whole row there. So it kind of feels like
Right.
feeling like a fun yet expensive Tetris puzzle for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say
But it's
those
something I
black
love.
spots are like
So
calling to
yeah.
you. That's great. That's really fun. That's a great way to visually motivate yourself to complete the set. Um, Aaron, let's go back to
Yeah.
yours. Are there any particular areas that you wanted to kind of highlight from the photographs that you sent? I know this is something that's kind of changing for you on a regular basis, but um,
Yeah.
any areas?
Well, one of the craziest things that I would almost like to dig up as a question:
Sure.
how much light is considered no light? Like, do you literally? Because it's my paranoia. I mean, right now, just to use my little stand, I mean, right there on the wall, I used to have a display.
Hmm.
And I'm like, well, I mean, the window's across and it's usually mostly closed. And the last thing I want to do is put, I mean, I think I had 30 Mickey Mantle cards in there.
Hmm.
I don't want 30 Mickey Mantle cards to fade.
Right. Right.
So that became, kind of an obsession, is just how to preserve without risking any kind of, damage or indirect or how direct or, I don't know, stuff that I think has been the last 15 years, maybe become more aware. And before that, I was probably not doing best practices with some of my cards, but that's,
Sure.
that's something I'm definitely open to ideas and discussing what is best practice. Cause I do think hanging the cards, like was just shown with Mitchell's collection, is amazing. That's a fantastic way to enjoy even a smaller card size.
Sure. Yeah,
That
I
was
mean,
the
I
first
did a
thing
lot
that
of research on this years
I found
ago
out.
with autographed baseballs, which I still collect, but I was like more heavily focused on that, actually, even more than cards. And obviously, with autographed baseballs, like that's one of the first things that's on your mind is the fading that can happen.
Yeah.
And the short version is darkness is always best. Like ideally, none of your stuff sees the light of day, like ever. That's kind of extreme.
Yeah.
But so what I do is this room has a lot of windows in that direction that are all blacked out. Like I've got I forget what they're called. Like just um, what are they called? There's an additional curtain that you can put on in front of like they're blackout curtains
Okay.
that completely cover up the window. And I honestly never open up those windows. There's another window that's directly behind one of these displays, and I honestly forget that I actually even have a window back there because it's blocked out. And aside from that, the only light that's in here are like, I don't turn the overheads on, and the only lights that are on are LED, which are supposed to be safe for what we're collecting. And that to me, just like I just completely eliminate sunlight as like even being an option for the room. And that's kind of how I go about it. Mitchell, I don't know if you have any extra thoughts on that.
That was my first consideration when I wanted to put this room together. Even when my wife and I were talking about initially back in November, it was like, the window faces the west. So it's direct sunlight 12 hours a day, right?
Yeah.
During certain parts of the year, it's almost like that. So I really kind of began to start looking at like, what are the options to kind of kill it as best we could. So obviously we have blinds on here, but they're not, super strong blinds.
Yeah.
So we added additional UV film on top of it. All the lights in here are LED. They're never on unless somebody's in here. That's pretty much always the rule. So it's pretty much in the dark all of the time.
Yeah.
Like this is more lights on than I normally have even when I'm working here. I just turned on the lights in the displays just for the purpose of this recording this evening. Otherwise, they wouldn't be on. They're only for when people are looking at it and myself. And yeah, I think additionally, it's still going to be adding like another layer of like some curtains to this window. So you can even take even the indirect light that still gets a little bit through. But it's so much more muted than it was, but I still don't want to even taking a risk, especially having cards that are 90, 100 years old out here. And I almost have no autographs out except for the baseballs. That's the only ones that are out. So.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Thank you guys.
Yeah, for sure. Guys, we're coming up on 15 minutes. So Aaron, I'm gonna give you first dibs, but if there are any setups that you'd like to share as we're kind of like reaching the last 15 minutes of the show. Or the show, I should say.
Yeah, I was gonna say in terms of I can't really see what all I've sent you even. I know I sent you several. That one's got one of my favorite cards in. I rotate that through every so often. I'll do a Lou Gehrig display, but I have Ruth and Hornsby little starting lineups there, but that Ruth and Hornsby card is like I maneuver that around the room just because I love that thing so much. So
Right.
that's definitely a favorite for sure. What else did I send you? I think there's probably one that shows like a shelf. There's when I had it as like a Gehrig display a little bit. That's a photograph, so it's not even card so much, but something different. I like the candid stuff. I think that's the player collector aspect for me. I like to get deeper in. That area where I used to have a wall display and I used to have cards up there, but I got nervous on the lighting and trying to keep it dark enough. And so I just took it down and like, well, I'll rotate some things through every so often, but for the most part, that's my box system and stuff stays kind of hidden away. The one thing I thought was interesting when I had the big displays, when I had like 30 spaces, and this is like Mitchell might be coming up on this too with having sets and my number brain. When you start getting into like I'd have 30 manels, but then what happens when you have 31? Or what happens when you're missing like one of the years? I was trying to do it like sequential. So you're trying to like the whole player run. And you're like, but I don't have that. So what do I do? Where you get the sideways ones, right? It takes up 1.5 spaces. Now I have wasted space. Like it, I mean, the stuff you lose sleep over as a collector is silly
Right.
to the max, but yeah, it's kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to comment on this Babe Ruth photograph. You know, it's large, and what I kind of like about it is, you know, one thing that comes at a premium in a card room is for most of us, I would say, is wall space, right? And so
Yeah.
it's like, well, do I want to have 6 or 7 things, or do I want to have 1 or 2 things, depending on the size, right? But I love a choice like this. I have a couple of like I have a blown up photograph of Willie Mays's catch, and I've got another one of Ty Cobb, that famous shot of Cobb sliding into the
Yeah.
base. And even though they're big and they take up space that maybe I could use for 2 or 3 other things, I like them because they're so prominent, and they're such a eye-catching image. And this is
Yeah.
such a great shot of Ruth with the kids. Like it's not a photograph that I've seen that much, and it's just, I don't know. I just kind of like how it goes along with your collection. I just think it fits nicely.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I really do. I put a lot of emphasis on, and I think that's why I like some of those like advertising pieces and the unique oversized thing, because it's stuff you don't see every day. It's unique, but a lot of it's very humanizing.
Yeah.
I have the Sandy Koufax thing here that I'll rotate that thing through, and it's eating
Oh.
ice cream advertising.
Oh, nice.
So when
That's neat.
I put that up, I think there's like 3 of those that are known to exist. So no one else has that, I'm gonna guess.
Yeah.
And it's so unique, it's so different, but it's not him pitching. It's, you know, it's Babe Ruth with kids. It's Sandy Koufax having dessert. It's just unique things.
Right.
Gehrig with his wife. I think that's, you know, just it's fun. It's the
Right.
player collector aspect. I like the people that they are.
Sure, and it just gives you that like visual reminder, like of all the different sides of these guys, which is cool.
Yeah, I've gotten into bobbleheads, the ceramic cards, some different things. I mean, I collect announcers to some degree. I
Okay.
did the Mount Rushmore with Mark Dodgers cards, and we did Dodgers theme. And one of my Mount Rushmores for the Dodgers was Vin Scully. I'm like, how do you not put him on the Mount Rushmore? Like,
Right.
he has
Absolutely.
0
Sure.
hits, but he's
Yeah.
phenomenal. So it's a different, complete view. Those are the same thing. Like those are 30 deep. So I just rotate those through all the time. They're different today than they were when I sent that. So as I need to grab
Glad you have a
something.
White Sox player on top there.
Yeah, Al Simmons, the
Mhm.
War Cigar is super cool. And then I've got Ernie Banks next to him. And then I think the other one's actually Eddie Collins too. So I doubled
Yeah,
down
Looks
on
like
White
him.
Sox.
Yeah. Mhm.
So all Chicago theme that day. I don't know what I was thinking necessarily, but it was fun.
awesome.
There's 2 mentions of Al Simmons in this live stream tonight.
I know.
That doesn't
Giving
happen every
somebody a
week.
run for his money.
So you know it's a good live stream if there's 2 Al Simmons references, that's for sure. Well done.
Mitchell, let's jump over to yours again. Any additional ones that maybe we didn't look at yet that you'd like to highlight?
Yeah, do you have the one or the wall behind me? Because I wanted to highlight the photographs that are on the wall there, because it came the gift actually from a fellow YouTuber. So I just wanted to say thank you, so you could also see the finished product. I don't know if you have that picture.
Oh yeah,
There it
and
is.
you're watching it like a questionable program.
I know, didn't you enjoy that one?
Yes.
So the photo or the frames above and to the side of it were from Stephen with a PH. He gave me one of those photo packs of the Chicago White Sox from 1961. So those came, I don't know, probably about a month and a half ago. And I'm like, these deserve a space somewhere in this room. And so I pulled out 6 of the 12, and I picked out like the key members of the Go-Go Sox
Sure.
to be able to have those framed up. So there we got Minnie, Nelly, and Luis Aparicio, Sherm Lawler, Billy Pierce, and Early Wynn. And they just look fantastic,
Yeah.
all framed up, and kind of really finish off the framing around the television itself too. So it was this kind of like dead wall space. I knew I wanted to put something up there because I also wanted to balance it out with the marathon poster that I had on the opposite wall or opposite side of the television.
Right.
So
Right.
again, thank you, Stephen. That was really nice of you. And these are the final resting places, if you will,
Yeah.
for these pictures. So.
And I like that too as a choice. I did something similar with I have the Lou Gehrig Wheaties panel. I got framed, and I mean, I totally understand why somebody would maybe want to put that in a slab and have it graded and encapsulate it. Totally makes sense. And I've got oversized stuff that I definitely keep in the slab, but I just, something made me say I think this would look great framed and on the wall. And like I feel like maybe as collectors sometimes we're hesitant to do that. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. I don't know. But I like it. Like first of all, I was really careful. Like I didn't frame it. I had somebody professionally do it, and they mounted it in a way where if I ever wanted to, or somebody else in the future ever wanted to, they could very easily remove it without destroying the original piece. So there's nothing's glued or anything like that. It's fine, and it's behind UV protected glass. But it's just like it's another way to appreciate it. It's like, yeah, it's a collectible, but it's also like something that can be on the wall as like a piece of art, right? And I don't know. I think that's like a fun possibility for somebody's card room, is to do something like this. I think this looks great.
Yes, I think that, and I think you have the pictures of the stadiums there too.
Yes.
I want to just kind of point those out. Those are pretty cool. People familiar with like Department 56? They made like a little of those
Mhm.
like Halloween and Holiday Town stuff back in like the early 2000s, late 90s. They did a series of like baseball stadiums. So I picked up three of them. I already had Comiskey Park. It was a gift given to me by my wife before we even were married. And so I kind of rounded it out by, she convinced me to get Wrigley Field. I was like, come on. I mean, I know I spent as much time there as I had probably in Comiskey Park over the years, but I'm never rooting for the home team when I'm there. But ended up getting it. Obviously, I work like maybe a mile away from it now too, so I'm around, surrounded by it all the time. There's old Comiskey Park, and then picked up Fenway Park as the third one. So like, there's the two of active ballparks are featured here still, of like the six they made, I think. I think there was also Yankee Stadium and Ebbets Field, I think were the other two, so maybe five. I would have gotten those, but it would have been much too crowded up there, I think, to be able to put those up there. So no offense to your Brooklyn Dodgers there, Alex, or all you New York Yankee fans out there.
None taken. No, it looks great. And these are sitting at the top, right? I think I saw them in that
The
first
very top. Yep.
photograph.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You had to run
You
a
can see
extend or power cord up there to be able to kind of light them up, but
right.
definitely want to make sure I could do that. Otherwise, I just felt like it was kind of like they're wasted, that feature, because they do look kind of cool when they're lit up. So
Sure. Cool. All right, guys. Well, we're quickly running out of time. I'm wondering if you guys have any unsolicited advice for collectors who may now be thinking like, you know what, I want to have a card room, or I want to approach the significant other about a card room, or maybe I just want to like re-look at my card room and maybe make an upgrade or change some things. Any pieces of advice for them?
Do you want to go, Mitchell?
sure, absolutely. I was going to offer it to you, but I'll take it. Since I just did it, I think it's still kind of really fresh in my mind. It's the intentionality, I think, and also like, you don't have to do what you feel other people want to see. Do what you really enjoy. So like, do I have all my most valuable cards out here? No, I have some cards that are like a buck in some of these cases, but it speaks to me because it's goes with the other items that are in there. And for me, that was more important than kind of pulling out the things that were like the highest value and kind of doing it that way. But if that's what speaks to you, there's nothing wrong with it doing that either. So not kind of throwing shade in that direction either, but like just really the intentionality and let your true like interest as a collector and your personality really show. So like everything that I kind of follow is featured somewhere in here. I think at some point I got to really build up a Chelsea little collection too, because I think that's the only team that's really not kind of fully represented in here, that I truly bleed for. But otherwise, like the White Sox, the Bulls, are all kind of somewhere featured in here. Even the Bears, I have a couple Bears cards that are featured in here too. So even some Cubs cards. So I guess there is a little bit of Cubs that have rolled off on me over the years. But yeah, I think really kind of spending that time to envision it, I think is important. Then you won't waste time buying things you don't want to be able to display your cards.
Right. Fair enough. Aaron, how about you?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think my wife's input years ago has given me a lot of leeway over the time since we've moved and changed and dynamics have changed. Um, get their input and make sure you're kind of on the same page, because the last thing you want to do is put all this effort in and have them come in and say like, I kind of hate that. Now open the blinds, and you're like, well, no, that's not what we're doing in here. This is the dark room.
Right.
So I think getting their buy-in and having a little bit of a vision. My wife's given me a lot of leeway now, but like our basement was, she was happy to bring people down there and be like, this is sports themed. It's really cool. My husband likes this. She didn't necessarily know who they were or care, but if she thought it was still interesting and a cool display, she felt like it felt like a, high class sports bar. We had a pool table, we had a little fireplace down there. Like you can use the room and still have it be a cool you focused space. So we've always had that mindset.
Right. That sounds good. And then there's just this. Just do it, guys. Right.
Build it yourself, right, Dylan?
build it yourself if you can. And I love, this is a great comment to finish on. Hobby Talk is better than TV. I find that to be the case, right? Like a live stream is probably better than whatever's on TV right now. Speaking of which, make sure you head over to For Collectors at 9:00 in a couple minutes. And I will see everybody next Sunday night at 8 for Hobby Palooza. But I want to say thanks to Mitchell and Aaron for sharing their displays and their process and their collections actually as well. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely, guys. If you enjoyed this live stream about nothing, give it a thumbs up. Have a great week, everybody. And I'll see you guys next Sunday. Take care.